Ever feel like your leadership skills need a little boost? Like you're stuck on level 1 and everyone else is playing a whole different game.
Yeah, we've all been there.
That's why we're taking this deep dive into John Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. It's like the cheat code to level up your leadership game, right?
Exactly. It's a classic for a reason, full of those golden nuggets of wisdom.
And trust me, we'll be digging those out today. So no matter if you're, running a company or just trying to herd your cats.
Or even hosting a podcast.
Okay, maybe especially hosting a podcast. This book has something for everyone. But where do we even begin with 21 laws?
Well, Maxwell starts off strong, lays the foundation with this idea he calls the law of the lid. Basically, it says your leadership ability, it's like a lid on your potential.
A lid. So like, even if I have all the ingredients for success, the talent, the resources, the big ideas, if my leadership isn't there, it's all going to stay trapped like a cake that can't rise because the baking pan's too small.
That's a great way to put it. No matter how much potential you have, your leadership is the limiting factor.
So basically you're saying bad leadership can really mess things up, even with a great team.
Exactly. And Maxwell uses this really interesting example. Have you ever heard of the McDonald brothers?
Wait, like McDonald's?
Yeah.
Burgers and fries?
Yeah, the ones who started it all. And they're a perfect example of how even with a groundbreaking idea, leadership can hold you back.
Really? What happened? I mean, they did create like a fast food empire.
They did, but they never reached their full potential. They were amazing at creating the system, the food, the whole concept. But when it came to leading a growing company, building a team, that wasn't their strength, so they ended up selling.
Wow. So even with those golden arches, they couldn't quite get it right. What a story. Makes you wonder what could have been if their leadership had kept up with their vision.
Right. And it's something that Maxwell really hammers home. You can't just have a great idea. You need the leadership skills to back it up.
Okay, so we need to make sure our leadership lid is big enough, right? But how? I mean, how do we actually become better leaders besides, not selling McDonald's?
Well, that's where the law of influence comes in. Maxwell says true leadership, it just can't exist without influence.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of the name, right? Leadership influence, you got to have people willing to follow you.
And it's not about forcing people or anything. Think of it like this. It's the ability to rally people to a common goal.
To inspire them.
Right.
Exactly. Okay, I like that. But how do you actually do that?
The book uses Mother Teresa as an example.
Wow. Going from burgers to Mother Teresa, that's quite a jump.
But it works. She wasn't a CEO or anything, but her influence, undeniable. People listened even if they didn't always agree with her message. She had this incredible ability to inspire.
Okay, so how do we get that kind of influence? It can't just be about charisma, right?
Yeah. It's definitely more than just charisma. It boils down to something much more fundamental. Trust. Maxwell calls it the law of solid ground. Like, imagine trying to build a house on shaky ground.
Recipe for disaster, right?
Exactly. Trust is that solid ground for leadership. Without it, everything crumbles.
You're saying that people need to believe in the leader as much as the vision.
Absolutely. People follow leaders they trust. Leaders who are consistent, who show integrity, and who genuinely care. If you don't have that foundation of trust, well, it's going to be tough to build anything meaningful. It's like, they're reliable. You can count on them.
Yeah, they walk the walk. Consistency, right?
Exactly. It all comes back to trust. And speaking of, that leads us to another important law, the law of timing.
Oh, timing. Yeah, sometimes I think that's my biggest flaw. Always a day late and a dollar short.
Well, hopefully your timing's a little better when it comes to leadership decisions. But you're right, timing is crucial. Maxwell actually uses the example of Hurricane Katrina and...
Oh, Hurricane Katrina. That's a pretty serious example.
It is. But it highlights how important timing is in a crisis. Making the right call, but also making it at the right moment.
So procrastination is a no-go for leaders.
Let's just say it's not a great look. Being able to recognize those crucial moments and then acting decisively, that's a big part of leadership.
Right.
And it's not just about reacting to disasters. It's also about knowing when to launch a new project, when to push for change within an organization.
So it's like reading the room, knowing the situation, and then making your move.
Exactly. Like in chess, you don't just move a piece because it's your turn. You got to think ahead, strategize.
Okay, so timing is everything.
Right.
But leadership isn't just about our own personal skills, right? I mean, we've got to be able to work with others, build a team.
You're spot on. And this is where the law of explosive growth comes in. The idea that the best leaders, they don't just gather followers, they create new leaders.
Okay, so it's about empowering others to step up, sharing the leadership responsibility.
Think about it, what's more effective. One person trying to do everything, or a whole team of leaders all working together towards a common goal.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like multiplying your impact, right?
Exactly. And it's not about giving up control. It's about giving others the opportunity to grow, to develop their own leadership skills.
Okay, I like that. So it's about building each other up.
Exactly. And that leads us to, I think, one of the most profound ideas in the book, The Law of Legacy.
Legacy, that's a powerful word.
It is. And it's about the impact you leave behind, the positive change you make that lasts even after you're gone.
So it's about more than just, climbing the corporate ladder. It's about leaving something meaningful behind.
It's about the people you mentored, the organizations you strengthened, the values you instilled. That's your legacy. And it's something we should all aspire to.
Yeah, it makes you think about the big picture, doesn't it? It's not just about us.
It's about something bigger. And, it all ties back to, like we were saying, that law of the lid. When you develop your leadership, empower others, you're raising the lid for everyone.
Love that analogy. So how do we make sure we're building that legacy?
Well, Maxwell talks about the law of addition. It's this idea that leadership, it's not about taking, it's about giving.
So it's about what you can contribute, how you can make things better for others.
Exactly. It's about serving those around you, helping them reach their potential. Think about the leaders you admire. They lift others up, don't they?
Totally. They inspire you to be better.
Exactly. And it's not always about, grand gestures. It can be small things too. A kind word, offering support, recognizing someone's hard work.
Those little things can make a big difference, right?
Absolutely. And it creates this positive ripple effect. Speaking of positive, there's another law, the law of magnetism. It basically says that in leadership, like attracts like.
Okay, so if you're a positive leader, you attract positive people.
Yeah.
And if you're like a grumpy pants all the time,
let's just say you're not going to attract the most enthusiastic team.
yeah, no one wants to work for a grump. So it's like your energy is contagious.
Totally. And it goes back to leading by example, right? Which Maxwell calls the law of the picture. You can talk the talk, but people are always watching what you do.
Actions speak louder than words.
Always. And that brings us to, I think, a really important point that Maxwell makes. If it's lonely at the top, you're not doing something right.
Ooh, I like that one. It challenges that whole lone wolf leader idea.
Yeah, leadership isn't about isolating yourself. It's about connection, collaboration, building a strong community.
It's about bringing people together, right?
Yeah.
Creating an environment where everyone feels valued and respected.
Exactly. And that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Well said. So there you have it, our deep dive into John Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We talked about influence, trust, building a legacy, and so much more.
It's a lot to digest, but remember, leadership's a journey.
It's about constantly learning and growing.
And making a positive impact along the way.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, everyone, happy leading.